Hi, I'm Renee Rochelle, the founder and president of One True Match. I'm here to help you find and cultivate the love of your life. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to the importance, purpose, and dynamic of human relationships. My team and I are disciplined by faith, love, and integrity to help our clients find the quality relationship they've always dreamt of. Each week, I will be sharing the tools and tips I've learned that have rooted my success as a matchmaker with other leaders around the world. Hello, loves. Welcome back. We are so excited to do another fun talk, of course, on relationships and all things asked. So today we're going to do something a little bit special because we always love in our team meetings when we talk about love and all things relationships, we absolutely love figuring out what people are asking out there. And it's so important for us to stay relevant when we get asked 1,000,001 questions on the relationship side of life. And so what we decided to do, I mean, we all read articles, we're hearing hundreds and thousands of stories on a daily basis from our clients of their just situations they're going through. I never want to call them challenges because all of us are unique in our own way, and there's so many things that we can learn from each other when we share, right? So what we decided to do on this particular podcast, which is kind of fun, is we said, you know what, let's Google what people are asking out there. Let's do a podcast on what people are asking.
And nowadays, I mean, if I definitely caught myself, I know Renee has caught herself, and I'm sure anyone that is listening to this or watching this has definitely caught themselves Googling something random. So we decided, why don't we go down that train and see what people Google when it comes to relationships.
So,
and it's interesting.
I totally agree. So we are going to start off with the top 5 relationship questions that people ask the world today.
Yeah.
And this, literally, we Googled yesterday or the day before, I think it was. So this is hot off the press, and we hope that you find this as beneficial and informative as we're about to share, because Connie and I are also going off the cuff. And we're going to use testimonial stories and just life experiences that we both have, along with thousands and thousands of our now matched couples that had some of these questions, probably, because we actually even asked, we did a survey and asked a couple of our clients if they've ever Googled these questions before, and some of them have.
Yeah, we asked some friends and they're like, well, yeah, we have. And it was surprising and almost shocking of how many, the statistics show of how many people Google this stuff. So, I think we should dive right in and you can find out the fun facts and figures.
Of course, obviously, you know, if you're watching this, we are matchmakers ourselves. So we are relationship experts, we're coaches. So we're going to try to give what we believe our answers are.
Yeah.
Off of whatever maybe your questions might be, that we love the follow-up questions because that just makes this so much more fun. But we're going to start off with the number 1 relationship question that is asked on Google. Or should we do it backwards? What do you think? Should we do it from like
backwards.
5 and up or backwards?
Yeah,
okay.
5 and up.
All right, so let's do this. Let's do the
lowest
last
number to the highest number.
Okay, so we're going to start off with, I'm going to refer to my computer here so I make sure I get the questions right. Number 5 out of the top 5 relationship questions, or the lowest question asked, is 2,900 people on a monthly basis ask this question. What do you think it is?
I don't know. No, joking. When is a relationship over? And this is a loaded question. I mean, this is a huge question to start with. So although it's, this one surprised me. I don't know about you, but I was actually more surprised that this one was lower down in the top 5.
I totally agree, because I feel like this is a question to the beginning before somebody comes to us. They ask that question because they've either tried dating, they've done all of either the apps, or they've tried in their own way, or they've been in relationships and they just are gotten to a point where it's like, why is this so hard, and how do I find that special person? Yeah. So I'm actually surprised that this didn't come up higher in search, but hey, you know, I mean, we're here to inform. So the question is, when is a relationship over? What advice would you give? Let's see if I've trained you well.
So that's, I mean, like I said, it's a truly loaded question, and a relationship is over. And I guess this also, it is in some way each to their own, right? But if there is no, and I truly believe, of course, everyone does, but as a matchmaker, I believe that your relationship is over once you've gone through every step to help save it. Because I know,
steal my line.
Because I don't believe that when people say, okay, we're going our separate ways, okay, because you've grown apart, or you've done this and you've done that, is that understandable? Okay. But if you haven't done true counseling, if you haven't resourced out everything you can, if you haven't also put those, like, I know, and this is from friends, family, so many people I know has come to me and said, we tried counseling, a month later, goodbye, relationship's over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you're not putting it to the test. So a relationship cannot end overnight. And of course, unless there's like adultery or anything like that, that's a whole different story. But a relationship is not over until you have tried every single thing possible to try saving it. And especially when it comes to marriage, of course, we all believe that marriage and hope marriage is forever. So I believe you have to go, and maybe you want to go over the steps of.
Well, so to me, when a relationship is over, it's over. I agree with what Connie's saying, because I say that all day long. Never just end a relationship without saying you've tried everything to know that it is a clean cut break.
Mm-hmm.
I think too many times people go back to relationships and they continue on and continue on and continue on without actually working on a relationship. And so we're all creatures of habit, right? So then we continue on the same path, attracting the same person and ending back up in a loveless relationship because we're not doing something different. So when a relationship is over, first of all, it might be because you decided to quit, which is all the wrong reasons to end a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, it could be because the other partner decided the relationship has ended. It takes two to tango in a relationship, and we can't do it all alone. So it is really important that Connie said to get all the answers that you seek so you can learn something from a relationship. Because I think too many people walk away from relationships that never actually worked on a relationship to learn something from that relationship to take it forward to actually be successful in the future.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this and you're either maybe struggling in a relationship, we can promise you that every relationship is leading you to that right person. You may not see it, or you might not think it right now because you're in a bad situation, but it is teaching you a lesson, and it is getting you one step closer to that person. And so many people don't see it when they're in that moment, but that is truly, you have to kiss a few frogs to, what do they say, to kiss a prince or whatever.
Kiss a prince, right?
So, and that is really true. So
I think also, when you're asking yourself, okay, is this it? The reality of it is, if you've done everything we've been talking about, is it over? And I started this off with, yes, it's okay. I think too many people fear, once they know and they've done everything we've said, is the practice to make sure to know that both parties, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Too many times people go back into relationships. I always say
an X is an X for a reason.
Yes, it's like a 747. There's no rear view mirror, so never go back. However, there are those few occasional situations where people actually do go back to a relationship, but it's only because they then self-discovered, being out on their own, that they were actually meant to be. And the reality of it is because they never tried enough. And one gave up before the other. Yeah, so I know people that have gotten remarried or people that are in a relationship that they should have never left. It's very uncommon, but those are two wise people that finally figured it out. So a relationship truly should be over, and for never to go back is when two people have maturely agreed, I love you, but we're not good together. And so for that, I want to love you enough to allow you to be free to meet the person that you're meant to be with.
Yeah, and marriage, I mean, if you haven't already, we have plenty of other podcasts, but I say over and over, marriage, a relationship, dating is a full-time job, and it's just it's like
a career.
It's your career.
A job is like part-time. A career is something you should be getting rewarded out of.
But a career, if you're not going to invest in it, you're not going to get anything back. So that's how I would handle that one.
Yes, I totally agree. Okay, so we don't run out of time because our time is always short, and I feel like we go on and on and on, which is a good thing. But the next one, number 4, is who unfollowed me? Which this shocked me that this was under relationship questions, but we're going to dive into it because when I read this, I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. 74,000 people ask this question on a regular basis. And who unfollowed me?
And I think that's nonsense, but we're also in a different generation.
We are.
That is extremely important. And also, when it comes to relationships and dating, people follow each other on Instagram, people follow each other on Facebook, then it goes wrong, and then they've gone their separate ways, and it is a little bit insane.
I agree.
But our our advice is, don't waste your time. Why are you wasting your time? If that person unfollows you, guess what? You're just giving the satisfaction of wasting more time on them.
Yeah, that's what I kind of struggle with. Social media is our biggest bloodline to what we do as matchmakers. I mean, if we didn't have social media, honestly, we would not be finding people the love of their life. Like, we live in a digital world today, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we used to, and we still do go to charitable events. We still go to networking events and things like that. I love meeting people live. I mean, the other day I met this amazing match for our client at the local library when I was there with my daughter, right? So it's like, you just never know when you're going to meet somebody and where you're going to meet them. And so I totally love social media, right? For good. The problem with social media is it reminds me a lot of high school. Before digital age, well, now I'm aging myself, but the internet and all of that did not exist back in my day and age in high school. But the point is I feel like now social media, I mean, it is, especially when you're single, it is your outlet to any socialization outside of not wanting to go places by yourself. Totally get that. Completely get that.
Yeah.
But it's also so important that you don't allow it to be your best friend.
And you also
or your mate.
Yeah.
I think the reality of it is people spend so much time in social media, it's like they forget how to be human, and then they get so self-sabotaged by what other people are doing that they absorb all of their time in trying to either keep up with the Joneses, be better than their friends, let it bother them because this person just got engaged, or they're having a baby and I'm still alone and I've always wanted a kid, or oh my gosh, they had this. And most people, either they post like the worst depressing things, which isn't bad to admit that, but that's, then people are concerned, or it's these over boastful things. And it's like, at the end of the day, I think, I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't post, but I think that people need to be better and understanding and not be so quick to unfriend somebody because of one little thing that happened.
And if you have that toxic relationship, or you're constantly worried about, who unfollowed you and who did this, you should honestly take a step back and look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, am I really being so upset because of something on social media? Or why did that person unfollow me? Why did that person that I went on a date with 7 months ago unfollow me? Because that's kind of drama.
We get that all the
time. And you know what? If you're so invested in that, you need to think to yourself, okay, where else can I invest my time? Because it's clearly a toxic relationship. Honestly, you are, by deleting it or removing yourself from that situation, you're starting to practice not having toxic friendships, relationships. So that's a good start to, even if you are single, that's a good way to cut out toxicity in your life. So
I agree. And I think another area of what we see all the time, so, in our business, not only do we do background checks, not only we do all these interviewing questions and everything else, the reality of it is we check social media. Just like, this is no different. If you want to go out and get a new career, you better be careful what you've been posting, because the reality of it is everybody looks it up, even though they're not supposed to, discriminate or look at this or do that or whatever. But the reality of it is, if you're posting hate messages towards an ex or towards somebody that you're just whatever, when somebody looks you up in the future, do you think they're going to want to be with you because of your toxicity or whatever it is that maybe you posted or you said, or like, obviously us being more Christian-based, we want people to speak, we don't want a bunch of F-bombs and like insanity of hatred and all these things, because we're supposed to love all, right? That's kind of just our nature, and it's way more peaceful to live that way, I feel like, for sure.
It's just like, you get really tired, honestly. You'll get really tired if you're constantly worrying about who followed you and what on Instagram. So I always just say, like, raise above it. Like,
well, and I do agree with what Connie said. So, everybody, especially if you're single in today's dating age and whatever, is, if you went on a date with people. So, you date people until you find your one, right? But then people will fret. The first thing people will say, and we always tell everybody, you cannot Google search or friend request this person. We don't give last names. Sometimes our clients have like pet names we make up for them if they're high profile or whatever. And I think that's actually wise. I wish everybody would agree to do that, because the reality of it is what we put out there on social media is our best, which is great. Or sometimes maybe it's our worst, and then somebody judges people because they're like, oh, I want to be real. I don't want. The reality of it is everybody judges people way too much. Like, judgment, I feel like, was given to us to get us out of a bad situation down a back alley. It wasn't given to us to be judgmental of every little hair or detail. Or Connie and I were having earring problems earlier. Like, it was so silly, right? But at the end of the day, like, the point is it's everybody's judging people way too much. But if you do have an ex that you then met, and of course you're going to become friends on social media, my advice to that is don't become friends too soon.
Yep.
Because the reality of it is everybody is then going to judge who they're friends with, what they're talking to, and things like that. Unless, of course, us as matchmakers, if we reach out to you, please friend request us back because we want to get to know you because you might be a great match for one of our clients.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to think about not unfriending somebody or even friending them too early. I think it's just an important piece of thinking through who you're becoming friends with. I always have said this has always been my golden rule. Don't ever post something that you wouldn't look back at 20 years from now and be proud of still.
Yeah.
So when in doubt, don't post.
Yeah.
If something you aren't proud of or something you can't take back, because when it's out there, everybody knows on the Google, it'll be out there. Yep. It'll stay regardless. So just
and it's best just to raise above all that. Like,
yeah,
don't be worried if someone unfollows you. Raise above it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had somebody, and then I realized I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not offended. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, whatever, right? So it's fine. Okay, so then the number 3 question that people ask Google for relationship advice globally is, you ready for this? 49,500 people ask this question to Google on a monthly basis.
Which it's sad.
Why did I get married?
And this is a really sad, tough question if Google is the one that you're having to ask this to.
Right. So we're going to take a moment, if this is your situation, or you know somebody in this situation, and you forward this podcast to somebody. First of all, we empathize that you're even asking this question because nobody ever wants to be in that position. I mean, I know myself, I know many of our thousands of other clients and people that have come to us because unfortunately, A, they didn't have us, B, I didn't have my company, so I didn't have myself, but that have gotten into the wrong relationships with the wrong people. And so, you know, when you ask that question, why did I get married? My personal opinion, you should go to a therapist, a coach, a relationship person. Obviously, we're matchmakers here, you know, but is to ask yourself, why did I get into the relationship in the first place?
Yeah.
Because I think so many of us got into a relationship. I know myself. I was younger, thinking about the biological clock. I thought I was choosing my best friend, like all those things, which I did. However, in time, you learn, which time or not, you should be asking yourself really big topic questions before you even go into a relationship to know, do your goals align?
Yeah, and like this is, and you know what I'm going to say? That this is why you do work with a matchmaker. Or if it isn't working with a matchmaker and it's out there on yourself, you really invest in the pre-marital, all the questions that come before, like Renee was just about to say, like the big topic questions. You cannot jump into marriage if you don't know that your paths align. And don't get me wrong, you know, you don't have to have everything the exact same. You don't have to, it doesn't have to live by a checkbox. And, you know, there's some give and take there. But that is, if you know, to set yourself up for success, you want to be doing. I remember, I laughed at this. When I got married, beforehand, doing the paperwork, it's like, okay, we'd already done some premarital or whatever, but it asks you, oh, would you take for this amount off your marital status, dollar-wise, if you like take a 3-hour course on, you know, pre-marriage? And I looked at it and I was like, that's...
So you got a discount?
Yeah, so that's what, and so I'm literally, so then when people come to us and say, oh, you know, this happened, or I got married and it went wrong, I'm like, did you ever even think of, like, or even, I spoke to someone else when I did it, and the lady at the marriage certificate, which is such a silly story, but she said, you know how many people do it? She was like, next to none. And I was like, huh? She was like, literally, no premarital, no big topic questions, and I don't think people know the importance of getting married.
I agree. And I have to say, you know, in my Disneyland fairy tale of what I thought marriage would look like.
Disney.
Well, and I'm not bashing it, but like, see, the problem is that sometimes, like, I love my parents, but that's all I watched was Disney. So in my head, you know, they show the beginning part of it,
And an amazing
and they show them getting married, and then often, or sometimes then they show like 3 years later, which is like 2 minutes of the last part of the movie of them with their happy children, and then the movie ends. It's over. It's it, right? And so in my crazy head at the time, you know, I thought that's how it should be, and I did marry a godly man, so I also thought, oh, that'll be great. But the reality of it is, it's not him, it's not me. It was just we never really got a chance to figure out our differences and ask those questions big topic-wise, to be able to prepare yourself, which is part of premarital, is preparing and enriching yourself for the future. And again, I don't mean to, like Connie's saying, I always completely promote the course Love Starts With You is so important, but like it is, because if you don't start with yourself, my mistake in that is I really didn't know who I was to be educated enough, not even mature, because I think you can learn this about yourself even in your 20s if you desire to really think this through. And what we teach people all day long when we go through our needs and wants of analysis of relationships, we also say, okay, what does the next 3 years look like? What does the next 5 years look like? We do that for our careers. Why don't we do it for relationships, right?
Exactly. And I don't know about you guys, but I always think, even with friendships, with my parents, who I love dearly, I always think, like, what can I do better to help them? What can I do better to be a better friend? But the one thing people miss out is, how do I be a better partner? How do I it's instantly, a lot of people tend to say, okay, my wife, my husband does this, instead of being like, how can I be better? And I think that
Amen. I totally agree with you.
It's truly on that self-reflection side of things. And if you are questioning why did you get married, go to the very start, and also don't just blame it on them for what they're doing. Go back and see the last few years of what your contribution has been to your marriage as well.
Right, because, I mean, biblically, of course, it says you're supposed to submit to your mate, both sides, ideally, right? And so at the end of the day, if one partner is putting in all the work and the other one is not, you're going to get a one-sided relationship that will get very stale over a period of time.
And someone will give up.
And somebody will give up. And the reason why the divorce rate is 50%, well, because it takes two. And it is very hard.
And they don't have matchmakers.
I know, they didn't have matchmakers to match them from the beginning, obviously. But it is very hard in today's society to not let the world bring you down and compare your relationship in the Disney fairy tale that we all have to have the expectations that are not great expectations to have. I always say to every couple that comes to us, or even single, obviously, that then has past relationship journeys, I'm like, stop comparing your relationship to other people's relationships.
Everyone
because
is extremely.
It's great to be in a really unique relationship that nobody has. You know why? Because you're thriving, because you're not paying attention to what everybody else is doing, and you're doing you. The best advice I ever got when I was a mom, stop reading, and okay, not everybody's gonna love this, but stop reading the books on how to be the best mom. You're gonna figure out how.
Because you're your own best.
Myself and my daughter, or whatever, are going to like figure this world out together. I do read books, obviously, and I promote us getting education on all things, but then you also have to put it into practice.
Yeah.
We could read books all day long. But if we're actually not practicing, I mean, like in our course, Love Starts With You, for our singles, you get a buddy to practice with. If you're dating, engaged, and married, you're going through the course, guess what? You better be practicing with your mate. Because that's part of it, is that whatever you learn, you have to put it into practice. And so...
And it's also what works for you individually. Our world is full of all different personalities, and everyone works differently. And I think when you do think, why did I get married? You need to, like I say, focus back on you, and also focus on what personality, or like, and I said, if you're too busy comparing to someone else, like it's not going to work, because none of us are the same. No relationship is the exact same. And in life, when we look at life, do we think it's sunshine and rainbows all the time? Because if you do, I'm sorry, but it's a little bit unrealistic. But if you don't, like, so why think of marriage like that? It shouldn't be all it's never. I mean, life is hard and it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but you could definitely set it up for success. So if you're thinking, why
did I get married? The reality of it is ask yourself, to conclude this, why did you get married?
Mm-hmm.
Why did your mate get married? Maybe ask them that question. And then
journey.
Together, come up 72 hours later with a list of why you both decided to get married to each other. And are you both willing to do what it takes to go back to why you got married in the first place? Or have you realized after 7, 10, 20 years, 3 years, who knows how long it's been, are we just too different? And you know what? I love you enough to set you free so that you can find somebody that's going to make you better in return. I'm going to be better, so together we can make the world better. Because when you have two people that are toxic, they are not making the world better around them, and they're only bringing negative around them because they're negative. So it's so important that either you master the relationship and the love and the marriage you're in, or you really assess why it is you got married, to be able to be fruitful in all of your talents that God has given you to be in the right relationship with the right person. So that's my answer to that question. Our answer, right?
Yeah.
Google needs to just call us, right? We can answer all these questions. All right, so number 2, because if we're running out of time, we're going on a schedule. So this is actually, so we're going up. So this is 1,010 million people ask this question. 1,010,000 people ask this question on a monthly basis is, where is the love?
Maybe we should ask the Black Eyed Peas about that one. That's like such a dad joke.
That's a song, obviously.
Yeah. But this is actually, I mean, whether they're related to the song or whether it is really truly a relationship question, but this is kind of pulls into also, why did you get married? There is a lot of self-reflection of where is the love. Someone's constantly out there searching for love, saying, I want to get married, I want to find my partner, I want to be in love. I mean, the amount of people that say to us, I want to be in love. Okay, so let's focus on route number 1. Like, love does start with you. And you have to make sure that where is the love in another partner, you also need to make sure where is the love within yourself, and to be confident and to be the best version of you.
I agree. So I would say, and I'm just throwing a number out here, totally off the cuff, I would say 97 to 98% of people that are not in a relationship today, and we do this for a living, are because they truly, as much as they want to be in a relationship, they aren't taking the risks or the opportunities. I'm not just saying this because I'm a business owner. I'm literally saying this because so many times, again and again and again and again and again and again and again, thousands of our couples that are happily matched, happily married today will say to us, I would have never imagined who I ended up with or who I've married. But it is so much better than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
So when people say in Google, where is the love? The people that then ended up getting married and finding their one true match are the individuals that finally kind of surrendered, put their hands up in the air, took the risk and opportunity, that it wasn't somebody that they, was in their box or somebody that they actually imagined, and they went out and gave it a shot.
Yeah, and
I think too many people in society today, honestly, are closed-minded of who they believe, going back to this fairy tale life of who they imagine they should be with. Do we look good in photos? Do we does everybody, they think about all the other things.
Perfect, but there's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah.
And
where's the love? It's with somebody that treats you like a best friend, that you're passionately in love with, somebody that you're there for you. Your friends get along together, all the things that people, when we ask their needs and wants, it's okay, you want somebody that you can trust. I agree. That's kind of an important detail. We should pray about that. For sure, right? You want somebody you can trust. I 1,000% agree with that. But it's also sometimes people forget, we'll ask the question, what's your social circle of friends like? Mm-hmm. People forget to ask those questions. So if somebody has no friends,
and you're
a super sociable person, that's not going to work out down the road, right? So I think when that question is asked, where is the love?
And you know where your love is? Outside of your type. because people fall really wrong into that. If you say to me, hey, I'm looking for this, this, and this, and I say, okay, has it worked with your type before? No, it hasn't. Okay, so guess where the love is? Right outside of your type.
Right. So
that may sound like some tough love there, but it really is true.
Well, and I think that, so if you're out there doing it alone, you're not working with Matchmaker, or call us, right? Or connect with us.
And we have a free database that you can also...
complimentary, that's private, whatever. I think it's so important. Where is the love? First of all, if you're not doing anything out there for people to know you exist, like working with a matchmaker, putting yourself into a complimentary, confidential profile, doing anything to put yourself out there and take opportunities safely, obviously.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, if you don't try to have, I call it, coffee talk conversations, pretending like, somebody just introduced you from church to meet somebody new or wherever you're out and about, and just say, I want you to meet this new friend. Going into any interaction, we tell everybody, go into it like you're possibly meeting a new best friend that in time, slow and steady, could be a forever passionate love.
Yeah.
Then you're going into dating completely wrong. And so when it says, where is the love? The reality of it is it's probably not too far off and not maybe close near you, but you have to be 110%. And part of that 10% is literally meeting people that might not be your type, but getting to know them in God's way, who they are.
Go.
Yes. Because you never know who you might fall in love with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop
so ready? Drum roll, right? And is the number one question, relationship question that is searched globally on Google is 1,200,000 people ask this question, is how to be single.
And this is when you should look yourself in the mirror and say how to be single. And I feel like we're going back to this a little bit, quite a lot in this podcast, but how to be single is to truly also love yourself, invest in yourself, and get yourself prepared for a relationship. So many people say, okay, I'm starting these new hobbies, I'm doing this. Okay, great. How are you preparing yourself for these relationships? We always say over and over again, read relationship books. Like, get yourself in your mind that you are relationship ready. So many people are so busy living an independent single lifestyle, and don't get me wrong, we still want you to be independent in your marriage if that's what you wish, or relationship, but you have to focus on being relationship minded, as so many people will say, okay, how to be single, but I'm only focused on being single. You're like, it's kind of like you're stuck in the box again. Like, where is the love? You're sticking into your type. So how to be single and
I would assume some of that question, because we're just going off what they Googled, so we're just trying to go off the cuff of what they Googled, right? So how to be single. So I think this question can also go for the people that are like constantly go from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. Is how I'm kind of reading this.
Yeah.
Is that they don't know how to actually be single.
That's
when I hear people have gotten married 3 to 5 or 6 times, it's kind of like there's some people that just cannot be alone, right? And so I think Googling how to be single is probably for the people that can't be alone and they jump from relationship to relationship to relationship. So to tie in what Connie's saying, I 100% agree. So first of all, you have to be your best version of yourself, right? Love starts with you. So I promote everybody to read self-healing books. So for whatever reason, any of those, assess the reason why any of these relationships didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
Find the one commonality of why each relationship failed. And it could be you. Probably. It could be you. I don't mean to be frank, but it could be you. I discovered that, right?
So we should be learning from every single relationship. That's something to never forget.
Right. So you need to learn. I know I did. I had the blessing of a child. So it forced me to be alone for a period of time, which was great because I was the person that always went relationship to relationship way before knowing a lot of these facts. And the reality of it is the best years that I could have ever spent were the fact that I was single alone. Mm-hmm. But here's the best thing in our faith. So if you're not a believer yet, I advise this because the minute that I finally surrendered, because everybody around me was in happy, healthy relationships, and I looked at it and I asked them, I was surveying, because I'm always surveying just in my life of what I do. I'm always trying to figure out people and why they do the things they do. And the commonality was they all had the strong belief in God. Some second, third, whatever, marriages, widows, whatever thing. And the reality of it is I was like, okay, I want to drink that Kool-Aid. Like, how do I do that?
I want to
Right? I want to, and the reality of it is I finally, instead of falling in love with another human person, right, to give me the happiness, I fell in love in our faith. I fell in love with, God, right? And then I was like, wow, this is so much better than, like, he'll never tear me down. He'll never yell at me. He'll never tell me I'm fat and I'm ugly. God, you look terrible, right? Or, like, I'm not good enough. Like, he's always there in support. And so I'm going to prayerfully go down this path of, like, praying and talking to God every day, because that fuels me.
And it also gives you something to lean on daily. When things are, everyone, or if you are looking for that right person, and like even Renee said earlier, you think, oh, okay, I'm getting to the age where I still want children. It's having that, it's a whole different level of support system.
Well, yeah, and it's like literally I put then what I was trying to do on my own, all the years of failure, was now I have all of the trust and the confidence that it's not my plan. And so I think to me, I mean, I remember saying when days were bad, I was like, well, that's not my fault. That's God's plan. And so at the end of the day, I'm not going to be mad at whatever I did, because I did the best that I could. And I tell everybody, wake up every day and do the best that you can. And I truly believe it's so important to pray for your future mate.
Yeah.
But some people are meant to, I mean, it even says in the Bible, some are meant to be single. And it's a sad truth, but yet it is also a truth. Some are meant to be single. So I think it's really important. The question is how to be single. In that period of time, be alone long enough to go through whatever self-healing you have to be single enough to know who you are, be able to articulate in the relationship that you find in the future, so it's setting you up for success, and analyze, do you truly want to be in a relationship? Because if you want to, like Connie and I started this off in the very beginning, it is a career.
Yep.
It is effort. In a good, rewarding way. It is a great investment, but it definitely takes time and prioritizing things,
and
right?
a whole lot of lessons learned prior to put you where you are today. And you will learn lessons every single day. I mean, I know we're still learning lessons every single day. We learn
something new every day.
Yeah, and I think that's when you are single, and how to be single is that we're not just also, yes, we're saying to focus on you, but also not to by, either loving the Lord and, not only focusing on, and this sounds kind of like controversial a little bit, is that I'm saying like love yourself and focus on yourself, but you need to know there's like more love to it by like loving the Lord. But when it comes to the person, meeting the person, you also have to be able to prioritize how to, because when you're single and only focusing on a pure single life, and then you come in and someone else is like, okay, I want to do that instead of that, then that's going to be a problem. So
yeah, and I tell we tell our singles all the time that I'm like, the reality of it is this relationship during this single period of your life is the strongest bond you will really have independently with God. Because then when you get into that relationship with somebody, now you're constantly doing things together. You don't have as much time to invest in your relationship with God. So it's like that, like singlehood is not, it shouldn't be lonely if you have your faith where it is. And I truly believe our clients and other people that are matched today, yes, God presents us the most incredible people at the most miraculous time to introduce them. And obviously we're searching high, low, and far and global wide to find our clients that person. But the ones that actually work out, that's not by our design.
Yeah.
It's by who God brings us through our process of interviewing that makes a couple powerful. And it's truly because they both at the right time are truly ready to fall in love. And we've heard their stories to know that they both have done the homework to be an incredible match, and then God blesses it.
Yep.
So
I feel like this one's such a one that we could probably go down and down and down, and we
should do a whole nother podcast on this one.
We actually have a similar podcast of how to get prepared for a relationship, but kind of ties into that. But also how to enjoy that single time, because that might be your last ever, and then you're going to go devoting into your partner, your husband, wife, whoever it may be as well.
I totally agree. So I feel like we can go on and on and on and on, and I know we've gone over our normal time. But I think that this was a really important, hopefully helpful, informational podcast, that it's so important. And continue to please ask in the questions. We always love talking about all these things, that there's so many areas every day. If you walk away with nothing from what we say, look at every day as an opportunity to improve the relationship either you're in or improve yourself to be prepared for the relationship you're going to be in. And
Yeah.
so I hope that you take that words of advice to your highest level of hope for whoever and whatever is in your future. And the truly most important detail is that you find happiness in all relationships that you obviously have.
Yeah, and maybe switching it up, instead of asking Google your questions, just write them into one true match.
I love it, right? We're here for you guys every step of the journey of true love. God bless. Have a great one.
Bye.
It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Rochelle. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.